You know, a lot of people have been sneering at this. Not my particular one, but in general. This is a Grizzly 14-inch jack plane. And I bought it quite a while ago, and I've been using it off and on, and I'll give you what I really think about it after all this time. Stay tuned. I think you'll find out some interesting things. Hello, anyone. I'm Scott Bain, but they call me the old farmer. I have here on the workbench here, under the new 10,000 lumen 5200 Kelvin work lights from Harbor Freight, by the way. This is the first time I shot video with these lights, so you might see a little bit of a difference there rather than my having to adjust the color properly. But this is the Grizzly 14-inch jack plane. I've had it a couple of 3 years. And this is Mrs. Old Farmer's grandfather's Bailey plane. Which one do I use the most? The Grizzly. I like the little bit heavier weight that it has. That helps me plane through wood. If you got a Harbor Freight plane or something like that, you'll be very frustrated. And people assume that the Grizzly plane is about the same quality. Let's see if I can set this up so you can see. See, it is square all the way across. Let me move my hand so I can bring it up all the way, okay? I calibrate this all the time to make sure that it's a 90 degrees. So, one of the biggest issues is the sole flat. Well, actually, if this is flat, and this is flat, and maybe along the edges it's flat, if there's a concaveness to it, it doesn't really hurt it any, but this one's absolutely flat to woodworking preferences all the way across. Now let's take it apart. Okay. This is the blade. It's got the newer design chip break there, and I think it works pretty good. I got to admit that I got to clean this up a little bit. There's a little bit of crud underneath it, but the next time I sharpen, I clean it out, and by the time I need to sharpen it again, there's about the same amount in it. It doesn't seem to affect the pulling of the chips off the wood. Got to mention, with the blade, let's take Grandpa's Bailey plane apart. Okay. There we go. And it looks like the typical Stanley blade. It needs sharpening. But when you hold the two blades together, they are basically the same blade. Let's see for thickness. The Grizzly is a little bit thicker, if you can see, is a little bit thicker than what the Bailey blade is. Now, Grizzly says they don't have a way of replacing this blade, because when I bought it, I wanted a replacement blade for it so that I could concave the blade a little bit so that I could use it as an actual scrub plane, but they said they don't offer them. They don't know what would fit it. Yada yada. You know, that was a strong negative on Grizzly. Now I like Grizzly, and they got a lot of good tools on it, but every once in a while they get their finger where it shouldn't be, and they do things that are very annoying. They could have just as easily have gone out and found another supplier that would provide the blades. There's plenty of places, no problem on it. But it planes good, well. Put it this way, I'm pleased with the way that it planes. It planes better than Grandpa's plane here. Boy, temperature in the wood shop is quite cold, and I used to be able to flip this without any problems. There we go. Even though you have to find a screwdriver, I prefer the screwdriver version over the snap version. Just for the reason that I had to figure out what was wrong with it. Okay. Okay, let's calibrate it up here, and you can see that the blade. Let's see if I can line that up for you. The blade stays straight to the lateral lever. Part of that is because the way it was built, part of it's the way that I sharpened the blade on it. Now I've done quite a bit of work on it. When I did the miter saw station for the Hercules 12-inch miter saw, to get things setting the way it should be, I had to use a plane, and I used this plane, and it did a fantastic job. I tried out Grandpa's. It was maybe even sharper than what I had the Grizzly, and I still like the extra weight of the Grizzly. Now, you may be different, and you might want a lighter plane. That's not saying one is right, one is wrong. I'm just saying for me, I appreciate the extra weight of a 14-inch plane. So would I go out and buy another one of these? Probably not. But I might buy the 22-inch version of this. It's a good plane. It's not the best in the world, but I think if you're starting out and you want to know whether you would like woodworking or not, to go out and buy the super expensive best tools out there, well, you don't know whether you're going to like it or not. Whereas you go out and buy this plane, my opinion, I would say, is that if I sent this over to Rob Cosman, you would probably raise an eyebrow on how good of a wood plane it is. It's very good to get started with. For me, I don't need a fancier wood plane or a more expensive wood plane. This does everything that I want it to do, and if I need a smoothing plane, I'll use Grandpa's. But it's a good little plane. The price is a good price point for someone who wants to see if they want to get into woodworking, or if you want a scrub plane or a jack plane. If you got some leveling to do, and such as building a workbench or something like that, and you want to scrub it down, this would be an excellent plane for it. But also, I do very little sanding after I use this. I do a little touch up here just to make sure I'm at 180 grit or higher on wood, but very little sanding after I use this plane. So I like it. I don't like sanding, so that's why I keep using it, whereas I have to do a little bit more sanding if I use Grandpa's plane. So I would recommend it. maybe not for Rob Cosman, but if you're starting out in woodworking, or if you're wanting a second plane and you don't want to spend the money for it, and you can use it for a scrub or deck plane. Does a great job.
Before we go, it's important to quickly mention for all who are visiting to subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, and share with friends and family. Now for the most important part. Thank you to those who have subscribed. Thank you. And yes, thank you to those who are visiting. We value you too. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so that we may receive a pittance from YouTube to cover expenses. We replaced one camera, tripod, and bought a water-cooled editor for video production, plus all the tools we review. So if you could help us reach that 1,000 subscription point, thank you. Well, this is the old farmer Scott Bain. Be well, be safe, and be kind to someone.
Don't forget to click like and click subscribe on the Old Farmer YouTube channel. And thanks again for watching. Bye.
The VFW National Home for Children, providing families of veterans and active duty military opportunities for growth and development in a nurturing community. Please consider a donation to help their children and families. I.C. Rhodes speaking.